Welcome to the Jeremy and Andy Talk Movies podcast. I'm Jeremy,
I'm Andy.
and this week we have something very special.
I'm very excited.
Also, something we've never done before on the podcast, which is to re recover a topic.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 2 years ago when we were first starting out the podcast, we thought it would be a smart idea to talk about each of our favorite movies.
hmm
And of course, Andy, your favorite movie is
It is Jaws.
exactly. And then, you know, we didn't have a lot of foresight back then to think, in 2 years there's gonna be a pretty big anniversary for Jaws, and we're gonna want to
Yeah.
talk about it again. But you know what? You can never talk about Jaws too much, so I don't think it matters anyways. But Jaws, yeah, turned 50 this year. It actually turned 50 on what date, Andy?
June 20th. It came out June 20th, 1975. So, yeah, I don't know why they waited like the extra 2 months to release it, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, my best guess is they figured there's a lot going on in the summer, but if we wait just a little bit, there'll be some slow weeks
Yeah.
and it'll really get its due attention. Because, last week was a slow week. This week there was a couple new releases, but I had good crowds at my Jaw screening. I'll just say that.
Well, I'll go ahead and jump into this. It was the number two movie at the box office this weekend.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally made $10 million this weekend.
that's amazing.
That's incredible.
Yes. So Jaws, yeah, was placed back in theaters. It had a lot of the IMAX showings at least I know at my theaters. I know
Same.
there was IMAX showings at yours because
Same.
I think we both went and saw it on the IMAX screen.
Absolutely, I did.
Yep. I went to this movie on my own, Andy. It was just me in a nice crowded theater. I know you did not go by yourself. Who all accompanied you on your trip to Jaws?
So Misty went with me because she's a good,
Okay.
supportive wife. Two of my four kids were able to go. The other two were busy, but Ryan and Katie went. And then my good friend and my neighbor, Katie Shoemaker, went. And then we had another family that kind of came separately that we know. Our boys are friends. And so able to watch it with just kind of like I didn't really try and organize anything or get a bunch of people to go. It just happened to be that had a nice little crew of people with us there to watch it and a respectable crowd just in the theater. Anyway, we saw it at 3:45 yesterday. That was just kind of the time that worked best for everyone. So, uh, pretty good crowd for a 3:45 on a Saturday.
Yeah, that was. I mean, similarly, mine was a 3:30 showing and had a really good crowd for
Yeah.
that, and a good mix of ages. Sometimes you go see these re-releases and it's like just older people.
hmm
There was a lot of, it was just it hit the whole spectrum.
Same in my theater, and that made me really happy.
It did, especially because it did feel like everybody in the theater was locked in. I spent more than I usually do during a movie. Spend a lot of time kind of looking around, just gauging like people's engagement and reaction.
hmm
And I don't remember the last time I've been in a movie where I didn't see like people pulling out their phones and stuff, and nobody was, including the young people in this movie.
Uh, it sounds like we had a very similar theater experience because it seemed like everyone, and we had the same thing. I think a nice variety of ages. I didn't see any lights from phones. I did have one person in front of me that got up two or three times, but whatever. They did it pretty as quietly as you can do that, and I was able to just tune that out. But
Yeah, I guess that did happen. Some people got up in and out a little bit. I'll say this though, like I wouldn't do it during Jaws, but I can be more prone to do that if I've seen a movie more than once. I don't feel that pressure to like I can't if I got to go to the bathroom, I can't go to
I
the
don't have to
bathroom. But
suffer.
right,
Yeah,
because man, there's been times I've suffered through movies, and I'm like I
same,
am not
same,
walking out and missing a second
same.
of this movie.
But yeah,
Um,
A plus crowd. That's always a concern of mine, especially just feels like that's getting worse and worse. We've talked about it, movie theater etiquette, but I had a really, really good crowd yesterday.
that's great. All right, Andy, I'm going to throw out a summary of Jaws as though anybody needs it, but
I
I just
can't wait to
wanted to
hear it.
do it. So here we go. Police Chief Brody moved his family to Amity Island for a peaceful life, but when a massive great white shark stakes the island as its feeding territory, Brody must navigate the local politics and a cast of colorful characters in order to finally make the beaches safe again, ultimately teaming up with scientist Hooper and eccentric sea captain Quint to hunt the deadly creature. Andy,
Yeah.
I'm not even going to ask, was this good? We all know the answer. So the question is, why is this movie an all-timer?
Oh my gosh, it's for so many reasons. I I'm trying not to just throw all my thoughts out immediately. And we also talked about this last time, but number one, it's Spielberg. He
Yes.
makes so many correct decisions for this movie. Um, and we can dive into that. I'm sure we will. It's Spielberg, it's the cast, and it's the pacing of the movie.
Yeah. Okay. Right off the bat, my first note, and of course, we talked about a lot of this last time we talked about it, but I just was like, man, I just want to talk about how this movie it moves.
It.
Of course, it starts with the iconic opening,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just never lags from that point.
No.
Everything we learn about the characters, we learn on the move,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we get like just a minute of Brody at his home before he finds out about the shark attack via phone, and then he's on the case,
Yeah.
and that's it. Like we're we're on the case from that point on.
They do two really smart things. Number one, they give you the exact information about these characters that you need.
Yes.
They give you enough that they feel like real people, real characters, but not so much that it bogs the movie down in any way, shape, or form. And number two, and I was going to get into this later, but I'll just do it now. I don't know that any movie ever, and of course I'm biased. I'll just say that right off the bat. This is my favorite movie of all time. But I just don't think any movie ever in history maximizes its minutes like Jaws does. There is not one wasted shot, scene, word spoken, camera movement, nothing. Everything is intentional and everything is moving the story forward. Every single thing that happens in this movie.
I totally agree. And what's wild is usually you say that, and and you hear directors say things like, "I wanted to make a movie with no wasted time, no wasted minute," and it means that they make a really frenetic, filling movie. And this
Mm-hmm.
movie isn't that. We talk about how we like to let things breathe. Somehow this movie feels like it lets things breathe while moving briskly and not wasting any time. I don't know how to explain that,
It's an
but it just
incredible
does.
balance. It's an incredible balance.
Yes. Uh, so you mentioned the incredible characters, and again, my next note was like, this is a perfect blend. This movie is a perfect blend of characters and situation.
Mm-hmm.
So, like on the surface, it's a gigantic killer shark movie, which is interesting enough.
That would
But like beneath that, it's like a team up movie of characters that I would literally have just watched those guys fishing together on the boat, and it happens to be both those things. It's the guys that you want to just hang out with,
Mhm.
and a killer shark movie, and it brings that together both in top form. And that's not even to mention the like political intrigue of small town economics and all that's woven in there. But yeah, it's characters that you want to hang out with doing a thing that's interesting.
Exactly. And they've hit it right when I would watch I was like, I wish these guys all had 30 more scars to compare. Because I mean, when they are doing that, that is so captivating, and they're literally just—it's Quentin Hooper mostly, and Brody just kind of reacting to him. But it's like they are just literally comparing scars, and it is just like you just want to be there and be an observer of these guys. They're drinking, so they're a little tipsy, I think, and just comparing these scars and laughing, and it's like, man, I just want to be with these guys.
Yeah. One thing I do want to do as we're talking about this movie is I want to kind of weave in some thoughts from Hulu's documentary they put out on the
Mm-hmm.
50th anniversary
Yeah,
of Jaws. And I'm sure there probably wasn't very much in that you weren't already aware of as a sort of Jaws
yeah,
scholar. There was a few things that, were new to me or I thought was interesting. But again, this isn't new, but I was just reminded of it watching that documentary that the actors were also unique in their approaches and their personalities
mm-hmm.
that it just added and fueled to their characters having these unique and oftentimes the friction of their
Yeah.
characters. So even, Quint played by Robert Shaw and Hooper played by
Richard Dreyfuss.
Richard Dreyfuss, they had their little
Yeah.
conflicts off screen, which led to their characters on screen friction just being that much more real and dynamic.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly accurate. And one of the most incredible things about Jaws is just that, like, everything that went wrong, which we covered it last time. And if you know anything about movies, that's just part of the lore of Jaws. So many things went wrong, of course, with the shark, but also, yeah, like Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss basically hating each other. But all the things that went wrong in the making of Jaws somehow contributed to the quality of the movie. Like famously, the shark not working, I think made the movie better because they had to be so creative. But like that real life friction plays so well up on the screen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, even I didn't know this before the documentary, but they just said, they're talking about each guy, how they spends their downtime, and how Robert Shaw kind of kept to himself and liked to drink,
Yeah. Yeah.
and Richard Dreyfuss liked to talk. He was just always talking, and they said that Roy Scheider
Wish I'd
liked to exercise, and it was like picture. And I'm like, that seems like his that's sort of his character is like just kind of quiet and disciplined,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like that's amazing how that
It's
fits.
it's incredible. It's incredible. And I don't know if you just if you credit that to Spielberg and his ability to see what was happening off screen and incorporate it into the on screen stuff. I don't know. But just really, watching it again this time, just thinking about what an amazing feat that movie even got made, and just all the different collaborations that all had to come together in the midst of everything seemingly failing miserably. Like it went, months over schedule and millions over budget, and it's just incredible.
Yeah, let's talk about Spielberg because you mentioned how key he is to
Oh
its
my gosh.
success, and how everything could go wrong and who else could pull it together and make it work. And that documentary talks a lot about how it was a nightmare shoot for Spielberg, how he was like traumatized by the shoot,
Yeah, he
and
talks
that
about how he essentially has like PTSD.
yeah, and that is shocking to hear that in a director's like his most famous work could also be something that was such a burden on him.
Yeah, and it's incredible, if you're learning that for the first time. Because if I didn't know everything I know about Jaws, and you did, and you watched it, and you told me like, man, everything on this shoot went perfect. It was a well-oiled machine. Spielberg was because that's how it comes across. When
Hmm.
you watch this movie, you're like, man, what a just efficiently, confidently, perfectly executed from a direction standpoint movie this is. And then you hear Spielberg talk about it. He was like, yeah, looking back, I just was nuts to think we could just throw a mechanical shark in the ocean and just assume it would work. And um, it, it's incredible. It's incredible that he pulled it off in the midst of all these trials he was having.
Absolutely. I, you're exactly right. If you just watch this movie and you didn't know, you would say that like, man, somebody had a perfect vision and it was executed to
Mhm.
perfection
They had,
going through
you would think
this.
they had no hiccups or anything.
I mean, it's also amazing that there were so many people who tampered with not tampered because that sounds like they weren't asked to, but so many people who did take a pass at the screenplay,
Yeah.
and we talk about multiple writers usually is a bad sign when you have multiple
Hmm.
inputs on something. And watching that documentary, I mean, like, of course, it started with the guy who wrote the novel
Eventually,
and
came to
his
eventually.
version of the script, and then they had somebody else who was like kind of the screenplay guy to clean it up, and then so many people that Spielberg was friends with saying, "Hey, take a look at this script,"
Hmm.
and then even the actors doing their edits on it, and you just think, man, there's so many collaborators on this. You think the story would be a mess.
Once you learn about the making of the movie, all signs point to that Jaws should just be one of the most colossal failures and disasters in Hollywood history.
Yeah. And then one of the things I didn't know but learned for the documentary, and it just made so much sense. Once I learned it, I was like, oh, like of course, is how much of the just regular townspeople they used in the shoot. And I was like, I
Yeah,
didn't realize that. I just kind of thought, I've always thought, like, well, it's the 70s, and like extras in the 70s were just bad. Like that might be the biggest difference between 70s movies and modern movies is
mm-hmm.
like your stars have always been good. Star actors have always had incredible talent. It was like extras though back in the day, they didn't know how to be
Yeah,
extras, and like you get these, and then when you learn like, oh, they're just real townspeople, you're like, that makes so much sense.
it does, and
Why these people are just why they're bad, and yet it fits.
it does, and I wanted to talk about it because watching it this time, that is one of the things that's really stuck out to me is just how real and authentic that town feels, which supports your theory of you either have to have believable characters in an unbelievable situation or vice versa. And I really truly believe that a big part of the movie's success and what contributes so much to its quality is that everything that's happening in Amity feels so real and authentic. And then, like you said, you find out it's because he populated the movie with real, authentic people from the town, and that just adds when the town and the people and even like the town hall meetings and stuff when that stuff feels real. you're so much more willing to buy a shark leaping up onto the boat to eat Quint at the end of the movie because they've done such a good job of making this place and these people feel like real people.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, even down to the wardrobe choices, like the guy at the
Yes.
beginning of the movie was talking about in the documentary how they started to outfit him, and he was like, "I would never wear this," and so they're like, "Well, just
Wear
wear
your own
what you would
clothes.
wear," and so and again adds to that authenticity because he's like, "I'm an Islander, and this is what an Islander wears."
It's really incredible. Again, an incredible choice by Spielberg that just elevates the. And it's like we talked about the first time we did this movie. This movie should a movie about a shark eating people should kind of just be at this level, and then Jaws is at such a higher level, and it's just little stuff like that that contribute to going to that next level.
Yeah,
And like you said, sometimes it is I don't know what the right word is, maybe awkward or whatever. Like even like Quint, like he'll just randomly we talked about this last time. He just randomly bust out in song. Or he just has this weird like he says that thing of like, here lies the grave of Mary Lee, she died at the and it's like, what? But he's just I think even the more of the lore is like he stole that from this guy on the island, like the guy who plays Ben
mm,
Gardner in the movie, like he was like this really eccentric, like he's just a an islander, and he's just like this really eccentric guy in real life. And Robert Shaw stole a lot of his phrases and mannerisms and stuff. And that stuff, while it might come
yeah,
across as a little awkward, it again though contributes to it feeling real, like a real place populated with real people.
yeah. And we talked about it last time how Quint is the character that I think if you gave any actor a choice, like God forbid they ever redo Jaws, but if they did it and they were recasting the part, that's the part every actor would want because you get to just be big and choose scenery
Oh
and
my gosh.
have so much fun. But part of his character is he's supposed to be a little off-putting,
Yes.
like there's a reason that after multiple shark attacks they just then finally go to him. They don't
Mm-hmm.
want to go to him right off the bat because Quint, I mean, he gives his offer of I'll catch the fish for you for 10,000 early in the movie, and then he
And they're
just
like, oh,
disappears
okay,
until
thanks a
they're
lot,
ready
buddy.
to. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
And again, talking about the little things that make this movie so good, the Spielberg things, like even before the three guys set out for the last act of the movie, Brody and his wife are walking, and Spielberg is so smart and he pays that extra attention. Like he really focuses on Brody's wife and how just put off she is by Quint. Like
Hmm.
basically, like this guy is scary and nuts, and then they keep the camera on her for a little bit extra as she runs away from him, and it's just such good movie making, man, and it just adds to like it's showing us her point of view of like I do not like this guy, he's crazy, I'm upset that my husband's going out on this boat with him, and it's just those little attention to detail type of things that again just elevate this movie to elite status.
Absolutely. We talked about it last time, but it's just anytime you talk about Jaws, you have to talk about this. The USS Indianapolis speech
Oh
from
my
Quint
gosh,
is
forget
one.
it,
It's
man.
it's it's one of the best scenes in movie history.
That absolutely is.
It completely kind of recontextualizes the audience's opinion of Quint because I'm not gonna say it redeems him, but it makes you understand him.
Mm-hmm.
You go, this is why this guy's a little baddie, b obsessed with capturing and killing sharks,
Mm-hmm.
and why he's essentially we talked about Ahab, and this is his whale that he's chasing, like the Moby Dick analogy. But because of that USS Indianapolis speech, which is just a great story that happens to be a true story,
Mm-hmm.
and putting him in that, giving him this great context, and then the way he delivers it. And I never thought about it, but on that documentary, it's actually I think Emily Blunt, who points out the way he says it with like kind of a smile. These like traumatic things. He's talking about the sharks, but he's doing it with that like crazed smile that Quentin has.
Yeah,
Is just so affecting.
it's so affecting. It is. You're right. I think it's not hyperbole at all to say it's one of the greatest scenes in movie history. One of the greatest performances in movie history. For a speech. And again, like the structure and the pacing of this movie is so good. Like you said, to put that in the spot they put it in, to learn that information after you've already spent some time with the Quint character, and probably as an audience member had those thoughts of like, I kind of like this guy, but he's also just driving me crazy. Like, why is he like this? Why? Like, I just don't like him very much. And then you give that speech, and like you said, it's not meant to be like a cheesy redemption arc or anything for him, but it does help you understand his point of view. And it's just lights out acting by Robert Shaw.
Absolutely. I think I had already known, the story of Robert Shaw asking if asking Spielberg, "Hey, can I just do a little bit of drinking because I want to play this scene?" And he's my character's supposed to be Buzz, so I want to just get a little buzz.
Yeah,
And then of course he gets hammered, and they can't even get on the boat by himself
yeah.
at that point, and then he calls Spielberg that night,
Ashamed
middle
and
of the night. Yeah, says, "So sorry, I hope I didn't embarrass you. Please let me try again." And then he comes in and just crushes it.
it's
Uh,
it's unreal.
yeah, the part I didn't know is that one of the one of the people who had a pass at the screenplay had the idea for the USS Indianapolis
Hmm.
speech, and he writes it in there. But his is an 8 page long monologue, and then Robert Shaw, who was a writer himself,
Yeah,
said, "People are gonna be bored to death listening to me talk for that long straight. Let me look it over." And he takes it and he pares it down to, I don't know what it would have been as how many pages as a screenplay,
hmm,
but he pares it down quite a bit. But man, there is I just sit there and go like it's a perfect speech. Like I can't imagine it being more,
hmm.
like if he expanded it, like he says exactly what he needs to, but he's also as a character that you would think probably isn't he's not a speech giver, he probably doesn't say more than he has to. He just like, I'm going to give you the highlights, the key
Yeah,
points, and then the way I'm going to emphasize and pace my speech is going to be everything. So,
yeah, and you're exactly right. And another example of like I was saying earlier, where just every word he says is meaningful and impactful, and also just unbelievable, like reaction acting from Dreyfus and Scheider. Like they don't do a lot, but there's that one part where I don't remember what part of the speech exactly Shaw is on, but Hooper and Brody just kind of make eye contact with each other real quick, and they're just like, "Oh my gosh!" Like this is like they're captivated by him, and it's just I love all those little moments.
yeah, I mean, I just keep thinking of Quint delivering the line of, when the sharks come and he's like, and we all splash, and whatever he says all that, and he goes, "Sometimes the sharks go away,
Sometimes he doesn't go away.
sometimes he doesn't go away,"
Mm-hmm.
and it just the way he says that, I don't know, it's haunting. It's like
It is
it's terrifying. He's got it like that grin, even though he's saying something that's so horrific, but
true.
it's just
And then when he ends that speech, you kind of think like, man, where do we go from here in this moment? And then they again make it the perfect choice to have these guys just start singing together. And like, who would have thought? Like, it's just incredible how every idea was the perfect idea. It's
absolutely
just incredible. It makes me so happy.
yes. It you know I feel like we kind of jumped to the end here, and there's plenty we could have talked about. Not that I want to just recap the whole movie. It's a legendary movie. Everybody knows
Mm-hmm.
one of the greatest endings. I didn't know again until the documentary that according in the book, the shark just dies.
Yeah,
Like they've kind of hurt it and
they've
injured it
stabbed it. Yeah,
until it's you do have the scene, I guess, of Brody sinking down and the shark coming, but then the shark
just
just
stops
dies
and
before
yeah,
getting to him and just sinks. And I'm like, yeah, I'm glad that again, other people that looked over the screenplay said you got to blow up the shark, and
it
Spielberg's like, how am I going to blow up the shark? And yeah, they just figure it out.
it's an all time incredible ending, and it's such a great example of like especially in an action or kind of like a thriller type movie, everything is building. Yeah, just an action. We'll just call it an action or a thriller movie. Everything is kind of building to the end, right? And it's like it's amazing when you watch this movie how they have all the puzzle pieces and they're maneuvering them all throughout the movie. And then in that last 5 to 10 minutes, the puzzle just comes together perfectly. Hooper is kind of written off, in the right way where he's just hiding down on the ocean floor as he should. Quint gets eaten, and then it's like it's all come down to Brody, the fish out of water, no pun intended, who's scared of the water. They've done such a good job throughout the whole movie of establishing that. And now it's the guy who's scared of the water in the ultimate horrifying situation. The all-time money shot, in my opinion, when Brody's kind of leaning on the big pole of the boat as it's sinking, and he's basically sideways. It's just him, the sinking boat, the shotgun, the shark. Everything has come down to the perfect moment. And then because we have the all-time legendary score, it kicks in and this amazing adventure music kicks in as the shark's coming towards Brody, and it is perfect.
Yeah, and that's something else we should just mention is, despite the fact that this movie has an incredible score, a lot of that finale is no music
Mm-hmm.
accompaniment, and that fits perfectly. And then you're right, the music kicks in at the right
It
moment
does.
to swell up the emotions before that final line delivery and shot, and
It's the
boom.
it's the all-time great movie showdown. Man versus
Yeah,
shark, and the Brody character is just at his last resort. And Roy Scheider, everybody's amazing in this movie, in my opinion. Roy Scheider is so good in this movie. He is so his journey is so believable from this, like I said, this fish out of water, and they do such a good job throughout the movie. I really focused in on this time of show like there's just little moments like at the beginning he's in the hardware store to buy those signs and he spills the paintbrushes. Right when they go into the town hall meeting, he bumps his head on a sign. I don't know if you noticed that or not. There's a little sign
yeah,
hanging. When he sits down with Hooper and Quint after the USS Indianapolis speech when they're singing, he bonks his head on the light. Like, they don't make him a buffoon or anything, but they make him like this guy is just not comfortable in a beach community at all. And then all of a sudden,
right.
it's all on him. And man, I just literally got goosebumps talking about it. It's such incredible movie making, and Roy Scheider is the perfect person to play this part.
Yeah, I mean, I he probably unfortunately gets shortchanged
Mm-hmm.
because of in this movie so many other things that stand out more. I mean, I already said it. Quint's the big scenery chewing part
Mm-hmm.
that any actor would love to have. Uh, but you're right, Scheider. You could make a strong case that he's the best performance in the movie, and he's
Mm-hmm.
of course the most necessary. That he's the glue of the whole movie.
Yeah.
Um, you know, so he's the point guard of the movie. To use a
He's
basketball analogy. I mean, not Quint may be the leading scorer, the guy throwing up all the shots, or doing the highlight dunks, but Scheider's running the show. He's setting everybody up. He's
he's
keeping the thing running.
he's incredible. He is so good, as is everybody. I mean, that's the problem. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to say he stands out because everybody is phenomenal in this movie, but I love Scheider in this movie so much. And an all-time great, like I did it, like victorious, like laugh and like just I guess yeah, it's just a laugh after he blows the shark up. Like he nails that too.
Yeah, and we talked about this last time. I did listen back to our episode, or most of it from last time. That having Hooper still be alive and come up was perfect for the ending. Because if it was just Scheider, he'd laugh, but then what? He puts it would just be so silent at the end.
Yeah.
And having Hooper come up so you could have two guys kind of it, share that elation and just little quick exchanges as we pan out to the end is so much more satisfying.
It's so much more satisfying. It's perfect. In the book, spoiler alert for the book, Hooper dies. And it is just Brody alive. And it's amazing how, really violent and gory and scary this movie is. But then you're ultimately just left with, like, just this big smile on your face because just that Hooper and Brody, kind of that bond they formed. And they, again, because every decision is the right decision in this movie, just that great conversation they have as they're paddling back to the island. What day is it? It's Tuesday. Nah, it's Wednesday, and all that stuff. And then just ending the movie with Brody saying, "I used to hate the water," and Hooper just gives that great, "I can't imagine why." And it's
Exactly.
like, man, my guys made it, and it's boy, it's perfect. And
Yeah.
one thing, my son Ryan and I were talking about yesterday after the movie. He's seen it several times as well. I said, it's really important to know when to land the plane on a movie and when to just wrap it up and end it. And they do a great job in Jaws of like shark gets blown up. You have what, maybe 3 to 4 minutes more of movie, and we're done. They don't draw anything
Yeah.
out, which is like going back to what I said of just maximizing every minute of this movie.
So true. You said it the last time we talked about this movie that when we're talking about it being a tale of two movies, like the first half is a horror movie,
Mm-hmm.
the second half comes like this adventure movie, and you made the point like it's this small town movie, but then once these three guys go on the boat, we're just done with that small town,
Yeah.
and like yeah, we're done. We literally never see anyone. Once those three guys go on the boat, we never see another character in the movie. We don't have to see the ramifications of the town or anything like that. It's just that. It's just those guys.
Mhm. It's really, if you think about it, we're so used to Jaws because it's been in our life for so long. It's a pretty big swing to take to spend so much time establishing this island and the people that populate it, and then, like you said, once those guys leave, that island is done. It's gone. Mayor Vaughn, Brody's wife, all these eccentric characters we've met, they're just done. And it's never talked about again. And it's a big swing, and it somehow works perfectly. It was the right decision, as was everything. But yeah, it's really incredible to make that decision of just going, all right, Amity, now, done. Like, we're done with that. It's over. And it's just like you said, it just becomes these three guys on this quest. And it's perfect. And I would have to think in the hands of any other filmmaker that wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
It would have been
Yeah.
too jarring maybe to just all of a sudden forget about all these other people.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And it doesn't feel like you're cheated of anything either to
No,
end right
you
there.
got what you needed from Amity.
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. Andy, not to feel like wrapping up here because sometimes I feel like when we go to these gimmicks, it feels like wrapping up. But I just want to throw some different ways to talk about this by throwing some choices out at you.
Okay.
So, you've seen Jaws hundreds of times,
Hmm.
and so you're an expert to ask about these things. What do you think is the signature death in this movie? So obviously we've got multiple options. Probably the girl at the beginning.
Hmm.
We got the boy that gets attacked and pulled from his yellow raft. We got the guy that's on the little dinghy next to the boys, gets knocked off,
Hmm.
eaten, leg falls down. We've got Quint at the end.
Hmm.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, they're all winners because they really maximize every death in this movie. I think I've got to go with the girl at the beginning because it just does such an unbelievable job. And we talked about this last time. She does such an unbelievable job of selling that. And it just is the all-time like this has set the tone for this movie. And I think if that first death doesn't work as effectively as it does, I don't want to say the whole rest of the movie doesn't work, but it's just not quite the same. You have to strike that, especially if you're not going to show the shark, which they don't. You have to strike that horror and dread, and you have to make this shark feel like the most terrifying creature who has ever been on the planet. And mission accomplished. So I'm going to go with the girl.
I think I'm with you too. We talked about last time. Quint's death scene it's intense. You said it goes on 5 seconds longer than you
It
think it
does.
would.
It's
I was like,
incredible.
that's a great way to describe it. But I think there is a slight element of it feels wrong to say this, but of Quint kind of deserves this, right?
Hmm.
He kind of got the guy stranded out there. His hubris had started
Yeah.
like being a
Yeah.
problem, and so when the shark gets him, you're like, this is gruesome, but you kind of
You're
brought this on yourself. The
exactly.
girl was just all she wanted to do was just do some naked swimming at
That's
night,
all she
man. And
wanted to do.
who among us has not had that urge? So
Exactly. It's a tough urge to resist. Um, and it just also does such a great job of, that's your introduction to kind of the shark POV. Where you're seeing the shark, you're seeing the way the shark would and her swimming and just all those elements of just this poor girl out there alone in the dark. And it's just the all time great tone setter for a movie. So I'm gonna go with her.
all right. Next question. What is the best line in the movie? A movie chock full of great lines, full of iconic lines from "You're gonna need a bigger boat" to "Smile, you son of a,"
Hmm.
to funny lines like "That's some bad hat, Harry,"
That's a
and
great line. Oh,
what?
what? Yeah,
Or "Here's to swimming with bow-legged women."
that's
Andy,
incredible.
what's
That's incredible.
what's the best line in this movie?
I'm going to get 0 points for originality, but I've got to go with Scheider saying you're going to need a bigger boat. I really do, and I know that's not original. That is not any kind of hot take, but that line has endured, for 50 years for a reason. And it's not just the line; it's just Scheider. His whole react, like he has that amazing, like the way he whips up after that
Yeah,
shark.
I just
Yeah, and I think the icing on the cake is the cigarette in his mouth.
yeah.
Yeah,
And again, from the documentary, the direction where he's told, he was told like, hey, when you back up in the cabin, don't even look at Quint.
Mhm.
Just like you can't take your eyes off what you just saw,
It's
like just
incredible.
straight ahead. That is an incredible one. I think you're right. Once again, like
Yeah.
it's
But
hard to beat that.
but I will say like it is incredible how many good lines are in this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of great ones. I mean, "Smile, you son of a"
It's
is a
awesome.
great
It
one.
is awesome.
Yeah, because I mean, is that the original like line drop like that? I mean, obviously, like it's very popularized in the '80s by like Schwarzenegger and Stallone
I
like
know.
dropping these lines.
I think Roy Scheider may be the
I think it's got
first.
to be, and it's like so applicable to the
It's
situation. You know, like
perfect.
it's not just a random. He's saying "smile" because he needs to see
It
in the shark's mouth to shoot the tank.
it doesn't feel
Yeah,
forced or anything. It feels like it was the right thing to say.
right.
Yeah.
Just incredible. Um, and then I want to ask, we talked a little bit about this last time. The best shot in the movie. So many great options. You've
Oh,
got the shark attack that then hits Brody with the zoom in on him, and everything else kind of zooms out.
that's incredible.
You've got the the orca ship leaving the harbor, framed up by
Hmm.
the jaw skeleton, the shark
Hmm.
skeleton of the jaws. You've got Quint on the bow when the boat's just
That's
rocking and he's holding it.
incredible.
And yeah, I mean, like I could go on and name all these great
Hmm.
shots, but so you might have a different option that I didn't even list.
I
But
do actually have a different nominee, and I kind of referenced it earlier. It's when it's down to just Scheider and the shark, and he's stabbing it with the thingamajiggy. I don't
little
even.
harpoon
Yeah,
thing,
harpoon
yeah,
type thing, and then he kind of loses it, and then it cuts to that shot of it's like a behind of Scheider. So it's like the camera's back here, and then Scheider's up front leaning down on that thing with the gun, and then in the back or in the distance you see the shark coming right at him. It's about a 2 or 3 second shot, but it perfectly sums up the situation that Brody is in. And it's just a beautiful shot, you know, the big ocean and all this destruction and chaos, and I just love it.
yeah. Uh, I do think. I think my favorite shot is just Quint on the bow. There's
It
something about that that I just love so
it's
much.
so cool.
Uh, but I do want to shout out just a couple others. One is the guy that gets eaten that's on his little boat next to the kids when when the shark comes up and the shark is like kind of sideways
It's so cool.
grabbing him and just like barely it's like just enough visible that you're starting to feel like you get some sense of the shark,
Yep,
but he's not very visible. Like just a great
it's a
shot.
great shot.
And then just the film nerdy one of me is right at the beginning. Uh, the kids around the bonfire when the girl gets up and the guy's chasing after her, and it's just like a tracking shot of them running along. Just knowing like the how much that adds to it, like moving the camera along with
Yeah,
them, and knowing how hard that had to be to set up because you had to set up like a track for the dolly on
on the
sand,
beach.
on
Yeah,
hilly sand on the beach, and it's like, you know, they could have just said, "Listen, this is gonna be a huge hassle. We're either gonna run with the camera so that it's like kind of
hmm,
a shaky shot,
right.
or we're just gonna move the camera as they move." But no, they set up a dolly
I
and they
know.
roll it along, and it's a smooth, long tracking
It's
shot,
so
and
cool.
it's beautiful.
It
Yeah,
also gives that the dude who passes out before the girl gets eaten. He doesn't get enough credit. That guy's hilarious in like 30 seconds of screen time. He has the all-time great
yeah,
line where he's chasing after her and she's taking her clothes off as she runs and he goes, "I'm coming," and then she takes her shirt off and he goes, "I'm definitely coming." Like he's so funny.
yeah. He goes, I can swim, I just
Just get
can't
or
walk or
undress
dress
myself.
myself. Yeah.
That guy is awesome. Shout out to him.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So that leads to my next question. I'm gonna go out of order now because I was so. Who is the best local that they cast in this movie? Because that young guy
That
is
guy's
one of the
awesome. I love that
options.
guy.
Yeah. I mean, you just basically like outside of the main three,
Hmm.
Brody's wife and the mayor. It's like all
It
locals.
really
So
is.
it's pretty much almost anybody else that's in the movie. Is there a best local in the movie that?
I'm going to give a shout out to the boy on the raft's mom.
Yeah.
She does a really good job. She was not an actress. She was just a local. And she has to give that, you know, she's the one that comes up and slaps Brody across the face. And she has to give that speech about, I just found out that a girl got killed here last week and you knew about it. I'm telling you what, she nails that. She does a really good job for not being an actress. She's great. So I'm going to give it to her. Great job by her.
Yeah. I will allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably the right answer. And then the one I was going to go with first, but just with our actual main cast of actors, who did give the best performance in this movie, Andy? I know I'm giving you a real Sophie's choice. How do you pick between these?
Yeah.
But
Well, again, and it's not a hot take, but I'm probably gonna have to go with Robert Shaw as Quint because, like you said, it's just such a you can really sink your teeth into this, and to play loud and eccentric like that could go really wrong. And it could just be this grating, annoying performance. And, if you think about it, the Quint character is just not really a good guy. I mean, he's a drunk. He's kind of mean. Basically, he breaks the radio. He strands these guys out on there. But yet he has a likability about him. And that's just
mhm.
really tough to pull off. And this everyone of course talks about the Indianapolis speech, and rightfully so, but even his speech at the beginning at the town hall meeting when he rakes his fingers across that chalkboard, it's just electric. I mean, you just can't take your eyes off Shaw. I will forever maintain it's the all-time great Oscar tragedy that Robert Shaw wasn't even nominated for Best Supporting Actor. I 1,000% think he should have won Best Supporting Actor for Jaws.
Yeah, the fact that he wasn't nominated for Best Supporting Actor and that Spielberg wasn't nominated for Best
Dude, don't
Director.
even get me started. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, those are Oscar tragedies
They
for
absolutely
sure.
are. I really think I think Roy Scheider should have been nominated for Best Actor, and I think Dreyfuss and Shaw should have both been nominated for Supporting Actor.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. It's hard not to go with Shaw.
Yeah,
Especially I love in the documentary getting to see clips of him
I know.
talking behind the
It's
scenes
weird.
because he's so different, at least in the way he
Yeah.
talks. And it like we said, obviously he was an actor that had just a long resume of both screen and stage,
Hmm.
but because it was so long ago, like people our age, we pretty much just know him as Quint, and
Yeah, I had
he's so
really. I
synonymous
mean,
with
even
it.
as a yeah, I had no history with Robert Shaw.
Yeah. So I mean, you could be mistakenly think like this guy is that's who he is,
Hmm.
and so like just to be reminded and hear him talk in like a very normal kind
I
of
know.
soft-spoken voice,
It's
and be like,
wild.
oh no, this dude had to tap into something in order to be Quint. Like that's phenomenal
It
acting.
is
But I
phenomenal
did want to,
acting.
we talked about Scheider and how good he is, and we should just spend a moment and talk about how good Dreyfuss is because he is really good in this movie.
He's so
He's
good.
the one who, from the point of Jaws forward, had probably a better run. The next
Hmm.
10 to 15 years, 20 years,
Yeah.
whatever. Obviously, his run didn't kind of continue beyond that, but Dreyfuss was a bigger name, and it's easy to see why Dreyfuss
Hmm.
was. It's easy to see why this vaulted him into success because he had a lot of charisma in this part, and he wasn't like I say that he wasn't a character coming in and trying to be like real big and charismatic. He was interesting. He was an interesting guy to watch on screen.
He really was. He's really good in this movie because you have to buy him as this guy that shows up, and you have to buy him as the shark expert, but he also does get to be funny, like you said, like some of the ways he reacts to Robert Shaw, like after the shark bites through the piano wire, like he's like literally like making faces at Robert Shaw behind his back and stuff, and he has to pull that off, and he has just some great line deliveries, like Brody's like, "You rich?" and he's like, "Yeah." Like the way
Yeah,
he says that, like, yeah, like you said, like just because I'm choosing Robert Shaw doesn't mean the other guys aren't just absolutely phenomenal in this movie.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
Dreyfus
sure,
is great.
absolutely. Um, John Williams, we gotta shout him out for doing the score.
Oh, dude.
Uh, Obviously, and we mentioned this last time, the most famous just being the very basic shark
Hmm.
approaching that rising tempo, da na 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 na
Yeah,
na. But we said it's full of all sorts of great score, especially when it kind of transitions to that adventure out at sea, and
the,
it's got a great theme going along with these three guys out on the boat just trying to track this shark.
yeah, it kicks in every time after they hit the shark with the barrels, and they're chasing after the
Yeah,
barrels. That adventurous score kicks in. This time, I also really noticed too how good of a job or how good the score is when Hooper and Brody are out on the boat and they find Ben Gardner's boat right before the big jump scare.
yeah,
It's like this really soft, like I don't melodramatic's not the right word, but I don't know, just kind of like this more soft and reserved score, and it just works perfectly
Yep.
with that shot. It's dark and they're
It's a
shining the
little,
spotlight.
yeah, it's a little eerie, so that
Yeah,
you feel a
eerie.
little
That's a
like
good word. Yeah,
a
eerie.
little tense with
Hmm.
them going out there for sure. I mean, this is one of those movies that obviously you can't undo the decades of knowing the movie, but I watch and I just go, what would it be like if I didn't know? Like
Hmm.
that scene, if I didn't know, I would bet everything that Richard Dreyfuss' character was about to die because he's so cavalier with getting his wetsuit on and going into the water at
Yeah.
night. And I'm like, this dude's gonna die, and of course he doesn't. And we just get a great jump scare as he finds the hole in the boat, and then the head pops into the hole, and
In, in
all of
my
that's just incredibly done.
in my opinion, the greatest jump scare in movie history.
Yeah, because not only is it effective, but it's not a jump scare for just jump scare sake. Like it's
Hmm.
important to pushing on along the plot of the movie.
It is. For someone who has literally seen Jaws well over 100 times, yesterday in the IMAX theater, it still made me jump. It's so loud and so scary, and it's a great decision to have. Like you're kind of almost distracted by the big tooth that he just found. Like you're like, okay, that was kind of the thing
Mhm.
that happened, and then here comes that dang head, and it is so scary.
Yeah. So as I said, pushes the plot along not only because that a new dead body. Everything that happens just shifts the equation to like more and more the mayor can't deny it and such, but scaring him so he drops the tooth. So then when they're having the discussion with the mayor, and again, it's very easy to point out to the mayor and be like, "This dude is just the worst,"
Hmm.
and he is. I mean,
He
he is
is,
supposed to be like,
but it's such a
but
good performance.
it is, and you can imagine if you flip things around just from his perspective. We as an audience know there's a shark because we've seen all these shark attacks in the movie. If you flip his perspective, it's like, okay, there's people dying. I got this new sheriff, our chief of police from New York, who's probably a little bored and just needs things to happen.
Yep.
I've got a shark expert who just really wants there to be a shark.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you could see how he could be suspicious of all this information coming at him.
Absolutely. And by the way, huge shout out to the actor's name is Murray Hamilton, who plays
Mm.
Mayor Vaughn. He is so good in this movie, and that scene is incredible of the three of those guys standing in front of the graffitied billboard, just arguing at each other. It's such a well done scene.
Yeah, that is something that stood out to me on this watch. And again, not that I haven't noticed it before, but just how many times there's like references to the types of crime that people that that Brody normally would be solving
Hmm.
on this island if
Yep.
there wasn't a shark attack going on. So you got that graffiti, and of course the mayor at one point's like, "Now this, you need to be taking care of this. This is vandalism." And uh, when he's on the beach and the guy comes up to him and you can't even hardly hear what the guy's saying because you're just with Brody, kind of looking around him and watching the water, but he's complaining about like somebody parking somewhere or something, and it's just, you know,
It's incredible.
you you honestly feel like, man, I feel bad for Brody if he didn't have like a real serious, deadly problem to solve. He just have the most annoying problems to solve all day.
It's incredible, man. It is incredible.
Absolutely.
I,
Uh,
I do I though this maybe doesn't make for very good podcasting, but I do want to tell you my computer battery is running low.
okay, we'll
So if
wrap
we
it up
are
real quick here. Yeah. Really, I just want to know, Andy, like, is there anything else that particularly stood out to you on this? Your, 200 something to watch. I don't know what it is in an IMAX theater with people. Is there, you just enjoy it the same way every time. You know what's coming. You just,
I really think that's it. It's just it's just reinforcing the idea that this is absolutely unquestionably my favorite movie of all time, and just that it's a masterpiece, and everything from the attention to detail. Like I noticed this time there was a couple different times when it lingers on the scuba tank just a little bit, like to foreshadow that Brody's going to use that at the end. And I can't say that it. I discovered something I never knew before. Every
mm,
time I watch it, it just reinforces that it's my favorite movie of all time, and I would be shocked if it didn't hold that title forever.
yeah, it is. You're right. It's a masterpiece of a movie. It's a perfect movie.
It is. It's perfect.
No notes, nothing to change.
Now,
I was just really struck by, like I said, I've been really busy with work. I was really tired, and I was like, sometimes you just want to get to the movies, and there's nothing worse than when you get to a movie and you wanting to relax and it's just not very good or it's just dragging or something. And I'm watching this movie and I'm going, this is exactly what I needed, man. Just a great movie
it's
where at no point am I am I not fully entertained? Even though I
Yeah.
know what's happening, even though I've seen it a bunch of times, I'm still just enjoying it. So Jaws is just it's we're so privileged to have this movie in our lives, Andy.
We really are. And it's no surprise to me that it's withstood the test of time.
Yeah. So we want to encourage people. I don't know if we just lost Andy. That's okay. We have. I just want to encourage people. This movie's going to be in theaters for the rest of this week. Get out and see it. See it in IMAX if you can. Watch the documentary that's on Hulu. It's a lot of fun seeing the behind the scenes stuff. Probably stuff in there that you might not know. Andy obviously knows as sort of a historian of the movie Jaws. We've definitely lost Andy, but we're gonna wrap that up here. We'll be back with I think a couple more episodes this week. We got a couple movies we want to get on here and discuss, and we will see you guys next time.